we kind of talked about it when it was announced about the Ring of Honor, but are we at a point where Devin Booker is the next guy to go into the ring, or is there somebody before Book that gets in?
No,
Gerald's already looking at me like,
I don't want to argue with you about Chris Paul again.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'll try to tee you up here, G, because I think it's easy to just say, yeah, Devin's the next guy. I think it's premature to be like Chris Paul didn't play here long enough. He didn't do enough. I mean, he did some fantastic things, and this is a tough one for me, man, because I mean the window is so short with Chris Paul, and you wonder if you start to do that, do you water down the Ring of Honor, the criteria for it? Like, can you just come here in 2 years?
Shout out to Brandon.
Like, huh?
Leandro? No. Brandon, no. Brendan Clean, no.
Shout out my boy Brandon.
No.
So, I didn't realize that Leandro Barbosa was such a controversial figure for the Suns fandom.
Like, I like him.
Some people love him, and some people are like, he was so overrated. Keep him out of the Ring of Honor.
I love him,
weird.
but
I love
Ring of Honor?
Yeah,
like,
I totally get that.
Putting Tim Kempton up there next? Like,
I mean,
hey, I got some Tom Googly out to take. Let's get him
So listen, if I'm being honest, I just don't think Chris did enough here longevity wise to get there. So I think Book is the next guy. But I do feel bad saying that, because what Chris did for us is something that we only saw twice before him getting to the finals. So if he won, how about that? If he'd have won the championship, absolutely.
Build him a damn statue at that
I just think
point.
this is crazy. Like, I'm with him. Like, I think 14 for 14 in a closeout game, doing all that stuff. I think he did enough. Like, he
Ring of
helped change
Honor,
the culture.
though,
Yeah. I think the finals run, like, all of that is enough. I mean, I know it was longer, but Steve Nash didn't get us to the finals. Like,
Yeah,
I think that
He did get 2 MVPs.
Yeah,
and he had 2 stints.
right,
with
and that's
the
why he's
Suns.
in there.
Yeah, and he had 2 stints with the Suns. The first one people kind of roll over, but he had more of a resume with the Suns.
He did, but the only case against Chris Paul is the longevity thing, and we've got a guy in there who's, he won an MVP, obviously got the Suns to the finals, but Chuck was only here for 4 seasons, and that was enough to get him in. Chris Paul, if you look at the last decade before he arrived and the way that it went, the win percentage, all of that, the trajectory of this team, how we were very likely going to run Book out of town if we didn't start putting talent around him, and the impact that Chris had in his 3 years here. Like, I just, he's got more All-NBA and All-Star selections than Alvin Adams, who is in the Ring of Honor already. He's got as many All-NBA selections during his time here as Tom Chambers in his 5 seasons, and as many as Walter Davis in 11 with Phoenix. Those guys are both in the Ring of Honor. Like,
I love it. Gerald didn't know we were going here, and he's already got this.
Because I literally wrote these notes the last time we did this. So I just did a fucking control F to find this. Like, he had an impact on this franchise and where it is heading now. We're not where we are without Chris Paul. And the fact that we've only been to the finals 3 times in our franchise's history, and he was the catalyst along with Book behind one of them. Like, I just don't care that he was only here for 3 years. In terms of impactful players in this franchise's history, there are very few that are above Chris Paul, even if he was only here for a limited time.
Can I show you some personal growth?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm warming up to this idea,
I think,
but with one caveat.
Okay.
If they win a title in the next 2 years, because he helped build that foundation. And I think at that point, you can go, he helped lead to this, and I would be more okay with it at that point. I understand the idea that longevity shouldn't be a huge part of this, and I think that's fair.
See, I don't know about that.
I think it can be.
But I think
Alvin
there are
Adams,
exceptions. Yeah.
Alvin Adams makes sense because of his longevity, rookie of the year, helped them get to their first finals. That, from a longevity standpoint, makes sense. But if you put up the stats that he did in a 3 or 4 year span, he wouldn't have been in.
Yeah, but I think if Chris Paul, like, say Chris Paul, we won in 2021, and Chris Paul retired after, would you be fine with putting him in after that? 1 year, got a ring.
It's funny you say that, because I'm gonna bring up Kawhi. I'm gonna bring up Kawhi. Kawhi's in the Ring of Honor in Toronto.
Yes.
Yeah.
1 damn year.
Yeah,
he
he
won a
had
title.
one of the biggest shots at that time too. Without him, you don't have a title. That's the thing. A ring changes it all, right? A ring changes everything, especially in a town like this, because they're so starved for it. Yeah. I don't care. Put the whole damn first team that wins the ring in the Ring of Honor.
That's my problem.
If Ish Wainwright's the 15th man on this roster and they win a ring this year, put freaking Ish Wainwright in the ring.
You just have to go too far the other way.
That's my problem because, like, okay, we win a ring this year, and then, I don't know, the following year, Brad Beal goes somewhere else. Brad Beal's in the Ring of Honor? Like, we got to draw a line, bro. It's a Ring of Honor.
But Brad Bill's
like it's a Ring of Honor.
But that's the thing is, yeah, there's not a ton of guys that are in the Ring of Honor that haven't been here for a long time. And I think if you look at the history of this franchise and dividing it up into eras, there's gonna be that era of Devin Booker and Chris Paul. And I don't understand what, like, it's not like there's that many people in our Ring of Honor like we're watering it down. I feel like if you put Chris Paul in that Ring of Honor, you're honoring a guy who came to your franchise and changed it for the better after a decade of misery, after being the laughingstock of the league for a literal decade. I don't think you can diminish the fact that they went to the finals, especially if you're a franchise that has never won a ring. Like, if we were sitting here on 10 championships as the Suns, it'd be like, well, no, they just went to the finals.
Yeah, it's like, sorry,
we've only gotten there 3 times.
Here's my problem with this, and G, I'm with you. I'm with both of y'all. Like, come on, man, point guard. I respect Chris Paul. This isn't a Chris Paul thing. It's a standard thing. Like, all right, who's here longer, Mikal and Cam or CP?
Yeah, but look,
no. Answer the question: Mikal and Cam or CP? Who's here longer?
I think Mikal Cam was the same amount, wasn't it?
No,
Mikal came a year before.
Mikal and Cam were both here before CP, right?
But they didn't have any All-NBA.
No, so that's my problem. Are we talking about what they did before they got to Phoenix? Or are we just strictly talking?
All-NBA
He did because we had
2 of them.
Yeah. And okay, one thing. God, you guys turned me into a freaking Chris Paul defender on this.
I told you I didn't want to argue.
How the hell did I make this whole roundabout? The other thing that I don't think you can undervalue with Chris Paul was this was the cesspool of the NBA for the 10 years before. Chris Paul coming and saying, I want to be here, changed the trajectory of a lot of things perception-wise. Now, that sounds like I'm poo-pooing on the Ricky Rubio effect the year before. He helped to get people in the mindset of look what this team can do. But Chris Paul, an undoubted Hall of Famer, a guy that still was playing unbelievably well in OKC, saying, I want to come to Phoenix. But Devin Booker's that guy.
But did he want to come to Phoenix or did he want to win a ring? He saw a team in the bubble that played him head to head. He knows Devin's that guy. He's got a relationship with Book, and he made a business decision. Let's not paint this out as Chris Paul went to his house and pulled out his shirt and he got a Suns tattoo on his chest.
No, but he's like, I want to be in Phoenix. He chose Devin Booker.
Right.
And Devin Booker is the Phoenix Suns right
I get
now.
that. So
he chose Phoenix.
You're right. No, you're right. But guys, listen, I think these things. So I'm from New York, New Jersey. I'm a Yankee fan. I know what it takes to get into the Yankees Monument Park, right? You just don't go to the Yankees and play 2 years and win away. And you like that don't happen.
But the Yankees have won like 20 titles.
I get that. But I just feel like the Ring of Honor has that. You got to draw the line somewhere, man. Like I just don't think there's enough time for Chris that I'm okay with. And then hold on, we're gonna talk about all the stuff he did coming in, but we're not gonna talk about the way he exited.
No, I think that's.
Are we gonna ignore that?
I think that's why we're fighting on
the
this.
way he exited was he had an option to stay. He could have stayed and took less money and chose, hell no, I'm not coming off the bench. I'm not taking less money. I go to State and Beach.
Okay,
I go to State and Beach.
He got traded to the Wizards and then traded again, and he also wasn't going to give up like $30 million. Like I wouldn't do that.
It was going to go from 30 to 19.
Okay,
that was the option. Drop down from 30 to 19, Chris. You want to win a championship? We're trying to build a championship team. We're going to get another piece. Come stay. And he said, nah, I'd rather kick your ass with the Warriors. He ain't coming in my ring.
If I tell you tomorrow.
I'm keeping it 100, man. I'm keeping it 100.
If I tell you got to take a 25% pay cut, but hey, we might win an Emmy this year.
Well, if you tell me that, if you tell me that 10 years from now and I've already made 50 million? Hell yeah, I'm taking the 20.
We're all in a better spot.
No,
if you
I'm
make
just saying.
50
I'm
million.
just saying. Perspective is real. Chris has made enough money. I'm not gonna get into people's finances. Like what they do what they do. I'm just saying if we're gonna paint the picture like Chris was in the bubble and oh my God, he picked Phoenix and he picked Devin Booker. He could have stood with Phoenix and Devin Booker, but he chose not to. That was more his choice. Because his number was too high. That's what it comes down to. You want to win a championship, you got to drop your number and allow us to put more pieces around. And he chose the latter. He said, no, I'll keep the high number.
I feel like the money that's promised to me is my number. My number might be higher than that.
You signed the contract. I signed the contract.
Yeah.
That's the contract.
And I think we were
right?
kind of out before
Well,
that.
that
Like,
wasn't
it wasn't like one
promised.
of those things like he didn't want the system that we knew that we had to play to win. Like that was the biggest beef with Chris Paul to me. It's like he was out on the system that we needed. We needed him to shoot more threes. He didn't do that. We needed him to play off ball. He didn't do that. Like it was just stunning everybody's growth at that point to just have somebody pound the rock and run pick and roll and just kind of do things their way and nobody else's. So I just think it ran its course. And I don't look back on that as like a negative thing. It's Chris Paul. Like he's a Hall of Famer. If he wants to do things his way, he can do them. But to win a championship, I just don't think it was going to work at that point. Like, so he needed to go, but he should still be in the Ring of Honor.
And we can't hold the way players leave against this franchise, considering the bad blood between Sean Marion and this franchise for years, justified as it was. Like Barkley, like we've had a lot of legends that have left here and haven't been on good terms with us for years. I don't think Chris getting traded twice fits that same category. I just... like you look at the people that we have in the Ring of Honor, we don't have like that many, especially like as a franchise that's never won a title. I have a real hard problem looking at the highs and lows of this franchise and not honoring Chris Paul's contributions to where the Suns are now, especially because like, yes, he achieved a lot of what he achieved in his career elsewhere, but like one of the greatest point guards of all time passed through your halls and wanted to come and play here and help get you to the finals. I do think that matters.